各位贵宾，大家好！我们今天2023电电工会国际链接论坛即将开始，请各位贵宾尽速就座，谢谢。Ladies and gentlemen, the 2023 TEEMA Global Networking Forum will commence shortly. Please kindly take your seats. Thank you. 各位长官、贵宾。
Ladies and gentlemen, the 2023 TEEMA Global Networking Forum now starts. Hello everyone, welcome to the 2023 TEEMA Global Network Forum. The TEEMA has long been an important force in promoting the sustainable development of domestic ICT manufacturers. The events held over the years have become the platform that attract the attention of the industry. With the U.S., Mexico, Canada trade agreement officially coming into effect, in order to help the IC companies grasp the industry trends, the USMCA market and the topics this year's forum will focus on the impact of the over trends of the USMCA and CPP on Taiwan's industry. And the government agencies and think tanks, financial experts will provide in-depth analysis and suggestions to share the impact of the CPTPP and USMCA on the Taiwan market. We are honored to have many distinguished guests here today. First, let's welcome Ms. Jenny Yang, Deputy Trade Representative of the Office of Trade Negotiation, Executive Yuan. Next is Mr. Jeremy. Thank you for for coming today. Now we're going to conduct the MOU signing ceremony. In 2020, TEEMA formed a sisterhood relation with the Mexico Industry Confederation. Since Mexico is the sixth auto parts supplier in the world and the seventh auto producer in the world, and the country is transforming to the production of the EVs to connect with to cooperate with Mexico, and where TEEMA has we have formed the sister association with the Mexico Auto Parts, the association. Now we have the Mr. Felix Nicolas Gonzalez Diaz is executive of ENA from Mexico. Now we have the MOU signing ceremony. We have also have the Mr. Richard Lee, chairman of TEEMA, on stage. At the same time, we have two witnesses on the stage. First is the Miss Jenny Yang, and the Mr. Yang Wenji of the Inventec. Um, they will stand behind Chairman Lee, and the Mexico Chamber of Commerce, and the president of Mexico Chamber of Commerce in Taiwan is in Taiwan. Will also be on the stage. Mr. Gonzalez Diaz has also signed the MOU. In the Thank you. I think this MOU create a win-win situation for both sides. Thank you, Chairman Lee and the two witnesses, and the Mexican representative, Mr. Gonzalez. So once again, please give a big hand to Mr. Diaz. Next, we are very happy to have the MOU signing ceremony for linking the TEEMA with the INA in Mexico. This will help the Taiwan's auto industry to make a further step internationally. Now we have the first we will invite Ms. Jenny Yang, Deputy Representative of Office of Trade Negotiations Executive Yuan, to address us.
President Lee, Jeremy, Acting Director of IT, Martin Torrance, Head of Mexican Trade Service Documentation and Culture Office in Taiwan, Derry McDonough, Acting Director. Ladies and gentlemen, good morning. Good morning, everyone. First of all, I'm quite honored that I can be invited by TEEMA for this event. I appreciate President Lee of TEEMA and the members in the end of the year and taking a busy schedule to conduct this international networking forum. we can reflect for thinking back in the past year in facing the global political economic variations for the impact to the electrical engineering, and we want to also getting ready, preparing for facing the challenge in the next year. Also taking the chance to thank United States. We signed 21st century's agreement. We will put our effort on. I appreciate Canada. And we finished the overall negotiation of the investment. We hope we can sign the agreement soon. And I appreciate Mexico, Martin, for Mexican's effort. And we will continue work on with Mexico in the future to link, to make the networking for the trade and economy. Globalization in the last 20, 30 years has brought a lot of well-being to people and created the maximized benefit for industry. Because of COVID-19 and geopoliticals emerging, so the global supply chain has been seriously impacted and challenged. We also are one of them, Taiwan, and go through the trusted partners to enhance our supply chain. Therefore, to enhance the resilience of the supply chain is our priority, and also our government would like to work with the public and industries and all the partners to work together, and that would be the future policy. Therefore, that in promoting joining CPTPP and enhancing the cooperation with the U.S., Mexican, and Canada, so that the policies will be the same with other countries. The CPTPP's country with Mexico, Vietnam, Malaysia, Singapore, our industries have created very good supply chain. In recent years, our industries in U.S., Canada, Mexico, especially in Mexico borderline, our electronics industry expanding investment in the borderline of Mexico prove that nearshoring and the reducing the risks will be the fact. To Taiwan, CPTPP and USMCA, the high standard commitments, transparencies guidelines, and convenience for trade and economy, and not only enhancing the supply chains cooperation, but also allow Taiwan with CPTPP's partner with especially USMCS countries to have the multilateral relationships, taking the chance to thank again President Lee for the past days leading all the members and the industries to invest a lot of effort and energy in the Mexican, Canada, and the United States to talk about how to utilize USMCA to create industries in these regions. The best supply chain advantages. I would like to thank President Lee and the members and Secretary General and the Vice Secretary General. Finally, I would like to share with you at the end of October, I joined the WTO's the seminar. I heard the Secretary General said one word I am very much touched. He said, we're living in very uncertain times. What makes me happy is the thought that perhaps with the little bit that one can do from one's corner, and that we are trying to make the world a little bit a better place and will be happier. This word reflects today's situation in everyone, because you are putting your effort. Your effort allows Taiwan and various countries and supply chains to be stronger. Once again, I'd like to thank you. And I believe with all the corporations, Taiwan can prove that we are the best trusted partners for all countries. Today's forum, we have a lot of topics. I once again appreciate President Lee and the TEEMA conducting this global networking forum. So I hope the success. Thank you very much.
杨珍妮副总谈判代表的致辞，也请先回座。
Thank you, Ms. Jen. Please return to your seat.
协会
The next speaker will be Mr. Jeremy
Trade Representative Yang, Chairman Li, Head of the Mexico Office in Taiwan Torres, Acting Director for Trade and Investment at the Canada Trade Office in Taipei McDonald. Good morning. 早安,大家好. At the outset, I want to express my thanks to TEEMA for inviting AIT to participate in this important discussion about opportunities for Taiwan companies in the vibrant and growing North American market. It's an honor to be here today at the TEEMA Global Networking Forum among such esteemed participants and dynamic Taiwan businesses considering establishing or expanding their presence in North America. Your participation here today demonstrates the importance of this topic at this particular time and points to a future of even greater economic partnership between the United States and Taiwan, even as our companies also expand domestic production in critical sectors. Indeed, among global investors, we've observed a significant increase in the focus on expanding in the United States, particularly in areas like semiconductors, electric vehicles, clean energy, healthcare, and the telecom supply chain. I know that these U.S. investments bring additional benefits to our neighbors in North America as well. Just over the last 2 years, U.S. Secretary of Commerce Raimundo and MOEA Minister Wang established an economic platform known as the U.S.-Taiwan Technology, Trade, and Investment Collaboration, or TTIC, as we call it. We like a good acronym. This mechanism aims to strengthen commercial cooperation between the United States and Taiwan across 5 critical industry sectors: semiconductors, 5G, cybersecurity, sustainable energy, and electronic vehicles. During these last 2 years, we have celebrated multiple new investments in both Taiwan and the United States in the semiconductor and EV industries, hosted an executive-led cybersecurity trade mission to Taiwan, championed new low-carbon power solutions, and facilitated 5G Open RAN partnerships between U.S. and Taiwan companies. The relationship and the economic partnership between the United States and Taiwan has never been closer. Total trade between the United States and Taiwan increased nearly 20% in 2022 alone, with Taiwan ranked as the United States' 9th largest goods trade partner, outpacing large markets such as India. Just this past June, we jointly signed the first chapters of the U.S.-Taiwan Initiative on 21st Century Trade. The Biden administration is using this mechanism to help smooth the way for increased two-way trade and investment, with requirements for both the United States and Taiwan to ease customs administration's hurdles, follow good regulatory practices, and bolster support for small and medium enterprises. In 2022, the stock of Taiwan's foreign direct investment in the United States was $22.4 billion, which directly supports more than 21,100 American jobs. And the United States ranks as Taiwan's 3rd largest source of inbound investment, with total investments of $25.9 billion as of the end of last year. Last May, my colleagues from AIT's commercial section organized over 200 business delegates from 100 Taiwan companies to participate in the annual Select USA Investment Summit. They also traveled around the United States, meeting with potential partners and federal and state officials to deepen their understanding of and connection with the U.S. market. Next year, their goal is to bring a Taiwan delegation to Select USA made up of representatives from the private sector and Taiwan's prestigious science parks and research institutes. The aim is to foster engagement with recently designated tech hubs in the United States, with a focus on cutting-edge technologies like autonomous systems, quantum computing, the energy transition, semiconductor manufacturing, and more. In fact, later this afternoon, in addition to the Select USA Summit overview, you'll have the opportunity to hear from representatives from South Carolina and Nevada as they share insights into the tech hubs in their respective states. Investors around the world recognize that recent U.S. legislation such as the CHIPS and Science Act, the Infrastructure and Investment and Jobs Act, and the Inflation Reduction Act, enhance the appeal of the United States as an investment destination for innovative Taiwan companies and their suppliers. These investments are mutually beneficial, facilitating the integration of Taiwan companies into the American economy, particularly in the semiconductor, electric vehicle, and broadband sectors. Additionally, they open doors for enhanced bidirectional exchanges of people, culture, and community-oriented entrepreneurship opportunities. As we collaborate closely with Taiwan to facilitate its investments in the United States, it's essential to acknowledge the reciprocal nature of those investments. Most importantly, this year alone has seen major expansions in Taiwan by U.S. companies like Micron, Qualcomm, Integris, and NVIDIA. These investments in both the United States and Taiwan mutually support each other, contributing to the sustained growth of our economies. In closing, I'm pleased to be here today with some of the most forward-looking companies in the world that work on advancing trans-Pacific ties in critical industries. I'm confident that cooperation between the United States and Taiwan will succeed in fostering stable, reliable global supply chains. This TEEMA Global Networking Forum reflects that strength, as well as our deep and enduring ties. It's an honor to join you here today, and I look forward to continuing to expand partnerships that will make all our economies more strong and resilient. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Jeremy Cornforth from AIT, to give it.
The next, we have Mr. Martin to speak for us.
Service Documentation and Cultural Office， 我们一起掌声欢迎我们 Mr. Torres 处长。
Muy buenos días, good morning. Mr. Richard Lee, Chairman of TEEMA, our very dear friend Johnny, dear colleagues from the North American region, the TMEC, the US and Canada, dear friends and colleagues, and of course, I want to take this opportunity to express my welcome to the delegation from the state of Chihuahua, who has been visiting here for the last week. Muy bienvenidos. I'll be very, very brief, but I do want to stress that the very fact that today we have a very large delegation from the state that has had or has been the home of some of the most important corporations from Taiwan for quite a long time. Inventec, Foxconn, Titra, and Pegatron, and several of them have been there for a very long time, and especially in Chihuahua. And this is a manifestation that block that was settled many years ago, for almost since the beginning of this century and the end of last century, has been growing very, very steadily. And the fact that today we are holding this event here is one more manifestation of the very deep friendship that we have built with TEEMA and with the most important investors of Taiwan in Mexico. This is one of several more that we will be seeing coming. We've had this year already the visit of the governor of Nuevo León, and then we saw the visit of the governor of Sonora, and this is unprecedented. The fact that governors of the northern states of Mexico are coming to reach out to Taiwan and Taiwanese companies and Taiwanese institutions And also vice versa. Next year, we're also expecting the visit of the governor of Chihuahua and also the governor of Baja California. So vice versa, I said, we've had also very, very important visits, as the one combined between TEEMA, TPCA, and TITRA that visited Mexico City for the first time. TEEMA visited Mexico City for the first time. They had a very active agenda in Mexico City, in the center of Mexico, and then they went to other places in the country to continue with their exploration and their interactions with both governments and especially private sector individuals and companies. And this is, once again, unprecedented. I was just scratching the numbers that we've registered recently. In 2022, bilateral trade between Mexico and Taiwan reached more than $22 billion. Mexico has one way of counting and Taiwan has a different way of counting, but according to our own statistics, out of those 22 billion, 14.9, almost 15 billion dollars are exports from Taiwan to Mexico. And unfortunately, we are not up to the standards because out of those 7.3 that are remaining from Mexico to here, most of them are oil. We're exporting oil to Taiwan. So when you deduct the amount of oil, our exports of goods barely reach about $436 million. So there is a lot of work to do in improving the exports of Mexico into the Taiwanese market. But the fact that there is such a big export volume from Taiwan to Mexico also speaks volumes about the activity that those Taiwanese corporations based in Mexico are having in our country, especially like I mentioned in the north, but we have here a friend from USI, for example, that has a very, very important presence in Jalisco, and we have many others also exploring. I've been here several years already, and I had not had so much activity and work with so many new Taiwanese companies wanting to come and explore our market. And this is a trend that I'm sure will continue. Nowadays, those $14.9 million make Taiwan our fifth provider worldwide. And the exports of Mexico into Taiwan make Taiwan our fifth exporting destination. So we're really in the map. And the main thing that is happening right now is that we're forging very strong ties of cooperation and exchanges. The very fact that this memorandum of understanding has been signed right now is another manifestation of that. And the head of the Mexican institution that just signed, he is, as you all know, also very, very knowledgeable about foreign trade since he was the head of Pro-Mexico for several years. I just want to finish by saying that this has started very, very recently, and that it was TEEMA, and more specifically, we have two actors here that I need to highlight. Mr. Richard Lee with his vision, when Concamín came and also made him the ambassador of Concamín in Taiwan. And from there, we started moving on with more and more activity, with more reaching out and having this power of encompassing and bringing people that have a saying and decision-making power. And that forged very strong ties that will continue to grow. And on the other hand, Jenny, with her vision, when she was in the Ministry of Economy, that also started to work very, very hard, looking into bringing together Mexico and Taiwan in trade and in investment. The investment has been happening for, like I said, for a very long time. It will continue to happen. But of course, the new sources of investment that need to be open in other places are having, Mexico on the map. And we will continue doing everything in our power to facilitate the linkages and the establishment of ties, of trade, of business, and of friendship mainly between our investors, our companies, our governments to host investments, and business from Taiwan in Mexico. This is for me a very, very exciting time because I have been lucky to see how even during COVID times, there were already activities that you didn't see happening before. And I can only wish very strong success with this meeting today. I hope that our friends from Chihuahua will come back and have a lot more sources of information and key partners to continue working with Taiwan, and that anything that the Mexican representative office here can do to support that, please count on us, and vice versa. Our friends from Taiwan know that anything that we can support, being from simple things as facilitating visas to providing linkages and facilitating the establishment of relations, formal and informal, we will do it. So thank you very much, TEEMA. Thank you very much, TEEMA members, colleagues, for this opportunity and for allowing us to be here and addressing this very important audience. We will continue working very, very strongly with you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mr. Martin Torres. Gracias. 那我们非常谢谢我们的 Torres 处长。那接下来呢，我们就要有 Mr. Darry McDonald, Acting Director of Trade and Investment of Canadian Trade Office in Taipei. Welcome.
Thank you very much. Well, it's flu season, so if you'll forgive me for my late night radio DJ voice today, I'll try to make my way through this quickly. Dear Richard Lee, Chairman of TEEMA, thank you very much for inviting the Canadian Trade Office in Taipei to participate in your 2023 Global Networking Forum. I'm very honored to be among such a distinguished list of speakers, including Deputy Trade Representative Yang, of course, Mr. Torres, head of the Mexico office in Taiwan, and Mr. Cornforth, Acting Director for the AIT. Friends and colleagues, good morning. Bonjour. 大家好. Thank you. As a bit of a history buff, if you'll bear with me, I'd first like to just walk you down memory lane a little bit for those of you who aren't entirely familiar with the history of of what we call in Canada the Canada-United States-Mexico Agreement, or CUSMA for short. So it's funny, we all have different names for the same thing, but there you go. Three amigos nonetheless. So CUSMA's predecessor was, of course, the North American Free Trade Agreement, or NAFTA, signed by Prime Minister Brian Mulroney, Mexican President Carlos Salinas, and U.S. President George H.W. Bush. And it came into effect on January 1st, 1994, and created the largest free trade region in the world. It also helped generate economic growth and raise the standard of living for the people of all three countries. NAFTA catalyzed an unprecedented increase in trade flows across North America following its implementation. Between 1993 and 2018, total merchandise trade between Canada and the United States tripled, and total merchandise trade between Canada and Mexico grew almost tenfold. Overall, total trilateral merchandise trade rose to nearly 1.2 trillion US dollars in 2018. So it was tremendously important for all three countries. And because of this positive experience, when NAFTA was modernized to become the CUSMA in 2018 and 19, great care was given to ensure that the final CUSMA outcome preserved the key elements of NAFTA. And today, the CUSMA addresses modern trade challenges, reduces red tape at the border, and provides enhanced predictability and stability for workers and businesses across the integrated North American market. So while I'll refrain from delving into what the specific chapters are that have been modified or added into the CUSMA, suffice to say, it grants Canadian companies access to over 450 million consumers, and 99% of Canadian exports to the US and Mexico continue to benefit from duty-free treatment. Now, regarding the theme of today's event, we note that many Taiwanese companies are taking advantage of the integrated North American market and have been quite active in the US and Mexico. That said, if we're being frank, Taiwanese investments into Canada should be higher than they are, given the real opportunities available in Canada. As a Canadian, I would politely remind our Taiwanese friends that Canada is a global leader in research and development, particularly in cutting-edge research into AI, quantum computing, and life sciences. Moreover, some of our more traditional industrial sectors, such as aerospace and automobiles, are rapidly transitioning toward a more digital and green future. For example, the Montreal Area Aerospace Cluster, which is the world's third largest after Seattle and Toulouse, is fast marrying smart technologies with aircraft, drones, sensors, scanners, and more, many of which are already selling quite well here in Taiwan. While in the auto sector, Canada has all the critical minerals needed to produce EV batteries, and many world-class companies, including Volkswagen, Umicore, and Northvolt, have recently announced billions of dollars of investments into the EV battery industry in Canada. Canada also has an abundance of hydrogen resources. As Taiwan optimizes its energy mix, we can certainly work together on hydrogen. In fact, in addition to the commodity itself, Canadian companies such as Ballard are already working with Taiwanese companies on projects such as hydrogen fuel cell buses. But we could do a lot more together. And of course, Taiwan's semiconductor industry is the envy of the world. And even in this sector, Canada has some unique strengths in R&D, especially in niche areas such as photonics, compound semiconductors, and advanced packaging. In fact, Prime Minister Trudeau and President Biden earlier this year committed to working closely together on semiconductors, including the setup of a cross-border packaging corridor between Bromont, Quebec, and Albany, New York. And Canada welcomes Taiwan to consider joining in this collaboration. Taiwanese companies should also consider setting up manufacturing facilities in Canada to capitalize on our abundance of inexpensive renewable energy and water access, as well as our talent pool, which is sustained by Canada's open and talent-focused immigration system. Taiwan Cement Group has already figured this out. Earlier this month, it announced that E1 Moly will build a high-performance lithium-ion battery cell plant in Vancouver, Canada. This plant is expected to produce up to 135 million battery cells per year and become the largest factory of its kind in Canada. I would strongly encourage you to talk to TCC and ask them why they chose Canada. To conclude, as the CUSMA's provisions ensure greater certainty and stability for investment decisions by guaranteeing fair, transparent, and non-discriminatory treatment of investors and their investments throughout the free trade area, Canada would very much welcome Taiwanese investors to consider Canada as a launch pad into the whole North American market. Thank you. Merci. 谢谢大家.
Thank you. Merci, Mr. McDonald. Please remain on stage. We're going to invite more guests of honors to join us on stage for a group photo. Yeah, thank you so much. 那接下来呢，我们要邀请我们今天的致辞贵宾到舞台上来，一起进行一张大合影。首先呢，我们邀请台湾区电机电子工业同副总谈判代表。
give a thumb to our forum today to promote Taiwan's industry to the international stage.
3, 2, 1. Give us your big smile. Thank you so much. 谢谢 Please kindly resume to your seats. 感谢我们舞台上的贵宾，跟我们一起见证这崭新的一页。
Distinguished guests for witnessing this historical moment.
好，那我们邀请所长帮我们先留步舞台，因为接下来呢，我们就要邀请我们的讲者还有主持人呢，要再回到舞台上来，要进。
Please remain on stage. We're going to have the panel discussion now. Now we'll invite our moderator and speaker, Professor Liu Yiru, to the stage. He is also the professor of Taiwan University. And also we invite Mr. Lin Jianfu and Mr. Liu Danian back to the stage. So if you have any questions, if there's, you can give your questions to the staff who will collect your the question sheets from you during the panel discussion. The moderator will raise these questions. So if you have these questions, you can raise your hands. Our staff will collect the questions from you. Now we'll turn our time to Professor.
Thank you, professors, having such good presentations with 4 keynote speeches. And also thank our panelists. Today, I think that I am pretty surprised that we don't have anyone showing the time is up. Everyone control time so well. According to the plan of the TEEMA, 30 minutes Q&A time. So seems that we have 35 minutes though, but it's okay. We will ask our chairman Lee to give us some remarks. He's pretty polite. Maybe in the end, he will give us a conclusion. So right now, we welcome you to raise your questions, to ask questions. If you don't want to write a Q&A sheet, I do have some questions here. I will start in from these questions now to discuss. First one is asking U.S. in 2024 in November to conduct an election. So if Biden continue being elected, what will be the future look for the trade? Or if Trump win, what will be the future situation for trade? So please. Thank you for the questions. Well, I work in the economic department, but interact more with the political department of Taiwan University. So economic is the subsidy, and the replacement politics is supplemented. So I become more like professor of politics. I can answer this. Basically, my feeling is Trump is pretty consistent in doing things. That means to his economic policies and trade policies. So I can predict that if Trump wins, for the foreign trade in certain level will be stopped, will be ceased, like a Paris agreement. He thinks it's not so important. His idea is that he wants to take care of his own people in U.S. for allow their own industry to develop. It will not be constrained. Their own market is big enough. So he has this position to do so. But right now, it seems that Trump probably have a good chance to win from Republican Party. So that's my view. Thank you. Thank you. Any other follow-up questions or supplement? Okay, let me supplement. I will not easy to talk about Taiwan's election, but I can talk a lot about U.S. election. U.S. election, Biden's announced to seek for re-election. Republican to have this pre-election. Right now, Trump is in a leading position. Biden situation, Biden in November, Gallup's approval rate is 37%. Non-approval rate is 59%. So, doing some poll in some swing state, so Trump is leading. So Biden to Taiwan, Biden will actually try to make alliance with others and try to stop the China's development. So Trump will be stronger, will be very strong policy for all countries, not only to China. In the last 6 months, our information shows that Trump has some unfriendly speech, like Fox's interview in July. If we have a war across strait, Trump did skip this issue, and they will say that U.S. Saying that Taiwan has the business of semiconductor from U.S. So they were adding the taxation. In October, and recently said that after he is elected, will obsolete the Indo-Pacific Agreement, so it will be more protectionism from Trump. But Biden still have the chance. It's not that Trump will win for sure. The poll says that asking if you don't like Biden, if Trump come out to elect, what would you do? Many people says they will vote Biden. They don't like Trump more, so that this percentage is not too low. 2024 election in U.S. election is very key. So right now, basically, between U.S. and in U.S. between it's a competing between Biden and Trump. If Biden's been re-elected, will continue the policy. Trump being elected, will have some surprising policy. We need to get ready for that. Thank you. No? Okay. Okay, don't talk about politics now. Talk about the next one. Taiwan's industries before joining all regional trade agreement. What would you suggest? What kind of investment? What would be the foreign investment strategy, like traditional indirect using the nearshore or offshore or friendly shore? What kind of opportunity we need to care, and what will be the risks? Well, specifically, I want to talk about. I discussed with Professor Liu about ASEP. What the things we need to pay attention. We're not joining ASEP, so after ASEP is formed, the tariff is 0. But Taiwan wants to sell to ASEP countries. We are facing tariff issues. So first of all, you need to understand ASEP. 40% of the original production needs. If you can make 40% products produced originally in there, you can reduce the tariff. 40% means you need to work with ASEP countries and marketing in their country. 40% is cumulated. So in accumulating added value in different countries, adding to 40%. Of course, it's not easy, because products are produced in Taiwan. Then you need to work with some people in some other countries. It's difficult. But specifically, I want to talk about if you go to Southeast Asian country, you need to make changes, because we see taxes in there, like machinery, tools. Traditional industry will be taxed. Of course, electronics, high-techs, ITA, taxation Tariffs Act, talking about semiconductor industry, there's no tax internationally. You don't need to worry about that. But tools, machinery, traditional industry, you need to worry about this. Specifically, I want to say we find Mr. Ding, a friend of mine, very famous in financial industry, help Guangyang to do the technology transfer to Southeast Asia, work with Thailand. That is, Taiwan give the technologies. Thailand responsible for the factory building and manufacturing. Shareholding, Guangyang, 51%. So Guangyang has more than half, can control that, especially in the CEO, the manufacturing decision, marketing, they have more than half controlling. Because of that, Mr. Ding's been sent to Thailand to become CEO. Why I say this? Because I think that if we want to produce in Taiwan, because accept taking the tax, you need to make some changes. The strength of Taiwan, we can transfer the technology of the manufacturing and the marketing to Southeast Asian countries. So recently, in the past 2 months, I travel in Southeast Asian countries. I found, comparing to Taiwan, in many aspects, they have their strengths. For instance, they have a population bonus because Southeast Asian countries, they have more young people than Taiwan. Taiwan will go into the super aging society now. 25% are over 65 years old. This is a terrible situation. So we need to well utilize their young population, their manufacturing strengths. They have some preferential treatment for the investment. So these are the things we need to look at. But also I feel Taiwanese people need to transfer the model, well utilizing our high tech to help us to do marketing. Just like I said, the Chat GTP to Amazon, to Google, to Microsoft. For these regards, they have a lot of packaging arrangements, so we cannot use our traditional ways. We need to use the high-tech AI to help us to expand market. So this is my answer. Thank you. I will echo this. We have a lot of customers. At that time, China had a COVID, and the customers could not make the production locally in there. So you have a factory in Taiwan, I said. Why don't you just take the order back to Taiwan? They say the export duty from Taiwan make the comparison. So it's not possible, it's not feasible produce in Taiwan. So echo to Professor Lin's answer. In my presentation in the beginning, I said that we consider to work with the short chain. In each location, set your points. Set their points. That means we have the same tariff rate around the world. You don't need our expert opinion. So because it's so complicated, you need to do good planning, not only consider single taxation, different taxations, and go with different facilitations. So what I want to say is that taxation is okay. The most difficult thing is no talents, no people. I have a location, the branches office, I don't have the people there. If you don't work with the local people, it's even worse. So like I said, how you can use high tech to resolve your management, that's very important. You rely on people in the past, it's not doable anymore. You need to rely on technology, different data to do the management, and then how you can utilize local talents. Because in the early days, Taiwanese people used to use your own people, but more successful enterprises, other than finance, is controlled by their own people. Others been localized already. So for your references, you need to learn how to well utilize the local talents. The core you can control by yourself, but others try to use the local people as much so you can continue to operate. Well, how to respond to this? We talk about the deglobalization. So important thing is how to respond to that. So in the whole world, like 2025 net zero carbon emission, if to reach that goal, policies will be different for the large, medium, small enterprises. Every day you need to collect the new information. It's scattering around. And so for enterprises, big burden. How do you collect that? How do you apply that? It's also important. So organizations should be readjusted. Give an example. You find out U.S. to China, the sanction, the lists, custom duties announced to do that because it's an administrative order by the president, which should not go through the Congress. So it's quite fast. So on the website, we see this kind of news. So government should go with the U.S. and some major countries has exchange platform. We should have a communication channel. This is what we can do. Anyway, 2025. 2005, we said the world is flat. We used to say that. And the whole globalization is very good. 2025, we find out we have different policies. Each country is different, not anymore. We should not have a +1. You go to Asian. Information collection is important. Government. Each government should play an important role. So it will be helpful to enterprises. So a lot of information scattering around. Let me add another point. Being asked why we concerned risks and opportunities. Risks, I would say briefly about the exchange rate risk is important. 2020, U.S. largely print the currencies after COVID-19. U.S. currency to other currencies is largely depreciated. 2025 is reversed. 2022 is U.S. starting to increase the interest rate. So the exchange rate change is very, like Mexico. 2021, everyone depreciate the money, and last year increased 12%. This year, largely most countries depreciated, like Japanese yen is the example. Recently, it's better. In the past, it was depreciating a lot. Mexican dollar is appreciated 6%, 7%. So the exchange rate changes a lot if you go in there. From the export viewpoint or your investment viewpoint, exchange rate risk is something you need to pay attention. Next, I want to see next question, which is it was mentioned. Okay, I want to follow this. It was mentioned COP28. COP28. It was just finished with that conference. The question is net zero performances evaluation. Taiwan is ranked globally. It's from the 6th from the last. So Taiwan's carbon emission has the warning signal. TEEMA and Microsoft have AI net zero. So OpenAI, what OpenAI can do for Taiwan for net zero carbon emission? So can TEEMA? Anyone from TEEMA can answer this. The cooperation with Microsoft about this. Or anyone here? AI, what AI can do for Taiwan about net zero? OpenAI. It's talking about OpenAI. Anyone? It's not easy to answer, right? Okay. Maybe it's difficult. This friend asking Taiwan's authority, what is our consistency and our ambition? It's difficult to answer. We don't have the authority to answer this. Well, based on my experience working with international organizations, I think international organizations do not have a good understanding about Taiwan. We're not UN members, so they don't have Taiwan's information. Our ranking will be falling behind because they don't have the information on what Taiwan's doing. So our rank is low. So in these circumstances in the past, for Taiwan's competitiveness ranking and evaluation, in order to allow Rusan to understand about this, Rusan understands we have a close communication with them. In the competitiveness ranking, Taiwan's competitiveness later became pretty good. and the ranking was pretty high. So I want to mention the government in the future. So the climate changes, carbon emission should link with international path. So I think that the Taiwan's authority for our listed companies asking the carbon footprint, asking the records of carbon emission, and more and more of this requirement. So by 2029, they should have the examination. So we do have the progress. We should allow them to know this. We can improve the falling behind for the ranking. Taiwan's rankings falling behind or not, but we should have a determination to do so. Other than asking the enterprise to work with that, your product should be in compliance with EU, China, or US's requirement. Many things we can do. For instance, talking about 2023, still not finished yet, but 2023 in humankind record having the highest temperature. It's for sure now. How do we do this? Government can do a lot. For instance, many countries saying that your trade policy, it can play a lot of roles. For instance, many countries for petroleum is zero tariff, but for the environmental protection products, heavy duties. It's not a green trade policy. Many countries for EV or hybrid cars, their tariff is higher than traditional cars. Many countries are like this. This is reversed from the green policy. So the countries they want to do so, other countries they are not doing so. But right now, U.S. and Europe, of course, to EV, they have a lot of subsidies to encourage industry. They also subsidize semiconductor. So we need to do this. So for green industry, so if a government has a determination, they can cover many aspects. So in the future, many governments should think of this. Many countries, in order to develop their own EV, they set high tariff. In order to develop a petrol industry, they have a zero import duty for the petroleum. COP28 this time hopes that all the countries at least stop the subsidy to the chemical petroleum industry to reduce the damage to the environment. From the practical viewpoint, I can say something. You say, the CPA, how do you know this? Well, I would say that our company has 150 full-time colleagues are doing sustainable related business. Right now should be the biggest professional firms in Taiwan. But back to the issue, what OpenAI can do for the net zero. Well, not only mention OpenAI, but what technology can do. Talking about Taiwan's enterprises structure, 95% are SMEs. I agree with Professor Liu saying public listed companies are pretty advanced in doing so. In comparison with other countries, Taiwan is pretty advanced, but after all, public listed companies take a small portion. Most of the enterprises are SMEs. So with this gap, SMEs, they need to spend money to do so. They don't have any motivation unless they are forced to. So technology can solve something to reduce the carbon. At least the carbon inventory cost can be reduced to the level where SMEs are willing to pay for. That is the digital tools allow SMEs in a carbon inventory or carbon footprint reduction to reduce to a level where they can afford to. So I think that we have a lot of competitors. We are doing the same thing. So develop some new digital tools to reduce the carbon. Reducing the carbon becomes affordable. And also we see another thing that is another gap is green energy. That's a big issue. I will not talk about this. But this gap, we need to think of something to fill up. So I think that looking back, another issue is these years we have a big growth, but the talent training is not enough. We have limited people having this knowledge. So how we can make up this gap for the talent, and also prevalent digital tools, and hopefully resolve the green energy. And in terms of policy for the SME is how we can have clear indications, including requirements. After we make up this, we have more chance to get to the net zero carbon emission. Professor Zhou talked about talents. I will follow up this question regarding talents questions. But I come up with 3 questions relating to Mexico. Can we ask Mr. Martin to answer this for us? So I will tell you the question. First one, regarding if go to Mexico to do the investment, hiring people, what would be the sources? What would be your recommendation? What kind of strategies in Mexico in this regard? Any suggestions for?
One is what's the best way to solve the training personnel? I think including language as the similar question for Mexico. Let me see. One more. Okay, if now Mexico is like the largest U.S. importing country, then can you tell us what's the average income in Mexico? And what do you see the future trend for the labor cost and also the rental cost? Thank you.
The the fact of recruiting and training, and in general the lack of well-trained personnel, is something that is being brought to us by several corporations from Taiwan. That is, we know there's a scarcity of that, and my view about it is that there is, because in part we don't have in Mexico a very well integrated system of channeling the needs that different enterprises are requiring, especially in the high-tech sector, in order to recruit and train those young professionals that would be able to supply that need. That said, I believe that we do need to do a better homework in integrating that, and that is something that has to have the cooperation of the federal government, of the local governments, as well as the universities. We have a system of universities that need to get together and approach this actually a problem. So they go hand in hand. It's recruiting, it's finding them, and then it's training them. Now I can tell you there are others. Every time we're consulted for delegations from states coming, we're trying to recommend them to consider that as part of the arguments that they would come to present why they're more attractive than other states. When the governor of Sonora came, he took that very, very seriously, and he met with Tsinghua University, and previously they also had met with the National Taiwan University, and they're working on a program to have students from Sonora and to be trained here as well. So there are exchanges in the oven. So we hope that little by little, on the one hand, through individual regional efforts and bilateral agreements and negotiations, we can be more effective into solving that. Now, as far as so I hope also that our friends from Chihuahua have something to say about that. We did recommend them to consider it, and we just recently talked to people from the government of Baja California, and we also did recommend them to consider that argument. Now, as far as the income, average income is concerned, of course, we are a developing country. We have a very large population that are even below the poverty level. However, if you consider the middle class, just in Mexico, the middle class, it's higher in numbers than the whole population of Canada. So as far as the capacity of consumption is concerned, regardless of whether everyone in our population is able to have a larger purchasing power, and they are, because the federal government has been recently increasing minimum salary, minimum wages. You do have a set very big middle and higher class that have very high purchasing power. And of course, the more investment and the more companies that come to Mexico, the multiplying effect improves that condition of the income through the average of the Mexican population. But the main thing is, and that's something we always talk about. If it's attractive to invest, so that the production can be considered not only to go for export to the North American market and to Latin American market for that matter, because we also have free trade agreements with most of the countries in Central and South America, is the fact that there is a very high purchasing power already in Mexico. I hope that gives you answer.
Thank you. 接下来的这个问题
Next question is from foreign view to ask Taiwan. That is, CPTPP basically is an open association. So from Taiwan's viewpoint, Taiwan has many barriers, not only the tariffs, but the mindset is not willing to open up. So does Taiwan have any measures taken so Taiwan, for CPTPP's other countries, Taiwan become attractive, and also hope Taiwan to join? Mr. Liu? Well, past governments in Taiwan, ever since CPTPP, from Obama's government, every government, just like I said, will be setting a highest priority to join. Every government will do an inventory. What do? They just check the regulations, laws right now. What's the gap between CPTPP? Every government has done this inventory, even current government. So in the future, if we join, of course, right now we have done some preparations, but we are not completely complying with the standard. But once we get into the negotiation stage, we will do some open up. Of course, we say we are pretty conservative. We were conservative. We had this mindset in the past, but we were hesitating before. Joining CPTPP is something, if everyone supports this, then in the future, open up the main street, we will not have a main barrier. So other than right now, CPTPP 11 countries plus UK, 12 countries try to open up largely, but I said the overall immediate large scale multinationals to open up this market. In addition, we need to consider with mainland China in CPTPP interaction. That is, we may not overall open up, but at least our current system to mainland China system, we need to do some alignment, adjustment. Thank you. Next, regarding investing into India's question. Some speakers talking about some numbers, but from culture, language viewpoint, can we see so-called investing China plus N, in this N, including India, Southeast Asia country, US, Mexico? How come investing in India, the speed is slower? Can you elaborate on this as to what kind of reasons causing this? The investment from Taiwan to India relatively is less. Well, talk about my Indian experience. Many people may have a similar situation as I. Our English language is good, but we cannot understand their English when we go to India. I studied the main reason because their accent is much different from Chinese accent. Doesn't match. So difficult to understand their English. So I think that for that we need to try to communicate this. Indian people having a lot of influence power internationally. We need to go into India. First of all, we need to resolve this language issue. Secondly, talent in India. They have a lot of people, but they have a lot of students. Hope come to Taiwan to have more educational training with Taiwan. When I was in Taiwan, National Taiwan University, they sent a lot of emails, many Indian students. So I think that from education, we need to do something to link. That is something we need to have. We have the opportunity. Thirdly, Indian culture, we do not quite understand. Indian people says they have the so-called hierarchical issue. They have some people, they are not so aggressive. So how we can use Indian people to manage Indian people, it's quite different from other countries. So all of this, we need to prepare beforehand. So as we go to India, we have more chances. Otherwise, we see people just fell and came back. Thank you. Well, last questions now. Last question. I will answer first, and the three of you can probably reply. That is, U.S.-China trade war was started. Short-term benefit to Taiwan, but Chinese export decline also influenced Taiwan. So what is overall impact to Taiwan, short, mid, and long term? Well, as I said, UN's report says short-term impact, the trade diversion is beneficial to Taiwan, but the four scholars report in May says midterm is benefit to Taiwan. But I said their report, they only look at the end of the last year's situation. This year, Taiwan's export, other than ICT, up to November is good. Other industries are declining. China, from January to November to China, declining is up to 19%. So for that, for long term, we believe that is something we need to do something to resolve. Otherwise, impact is big. So China in 2017, before the trade war, percentage 42%. Such a heavy percentage is heavy. But if, just like student, you're not doing good for this examination, you should do something. So right now, for long term, if China's China's exports situation is not so good, of course, import will not be good either. Many imports are from Taiwan, so they cannot get the purchase order from U.S., and of course, Taiwan cannot get purchase order from China. Impact is big. And how to respond? Specifically, I think this forum is very important because if we cannot resolve that, we need to find a path to go. That is RCEP, NCEP, TPP, 7 countries overlapping. Companies, no matter how difficult, we need to work together. Like Mr. Ding went to India, so this is something we need to respond. Like U.S., Canada, and Mexico's agreement, they are also, these countries are also in CPTPP. They are very close overlapping with Taiwan, like automotive industry. We do have this strength. So seeking for cooperation is important, and also we can avoid the long-term impact. But I must say something from my bottom of my heart to industry. If work harder, try to find some solutions, still have the road to go. Taiwan, all the way is internationalized, but basic issue we need to resolve because enterprise can work out. People in Taiwan stay in Taiwan only. So enterprises go out, join with other people, work with other people. Enterprise can resolve their problem. But how come Taiwan's salary is still not being increased? GDP is growing. Taiwan people cannot enjoy this fruit. So we cannot just talk about foreign investment. We don't have any investment in Taiwan. We talk about CPTP if we want to join. In terms of mindset, character, non-character, tariff and non-tariff barrier, Taiwan should open more, see Taiwan's strengths, welcome other countries, other industry come to Taiwan to invest. This is more important. This is my opinion. Thank you. Anyone? I would do a conclusion later. You can speak first. 2 points. First one, our general view is in the near futures, next year's global demand will not be good. The total volume will not be increased, will be maintained. So you need to set the right item to invest. It seems now the cutting edge technology is more relating with semiconductor, with AI having the strengths. So whatever industry you are, if you can link with this topic, is good. So select the item. You need to select the trend that's growing. People will spend more money on this. Secondly, enterprise deploy internationally is important. More complete, it's better for you to do the business. So in different locations, you need to have the your points. It reduces the risks for the customer. So that's important for you. Thank you. I want to say that the U.S.-China trade war, okay, raised the board already. So the impact to Taiwan is, Taiwan must think that something Taiwan decided to lean more toward U.S. We need to ask more from U.S. Like Indian Pacific structure, what's their negotiation? What's their agreement? What kind of the agreement they signed? So what kind of supply? So we don't have that. So Taiwan in supply chain should not be should be involved in there. So if you should ask from U.S., you ask from U.S., they may not give you, but you don't ask, you don't have anything. So Taiwan, secondly, export to China is declining, and the transfer from Hong Kong, first 10 months is dropped to 35%. So we need to diversify the market, but the growth, the exporting overall declining the most in China for the export. So we should have the reverse that growth overall, but a little bit slower in growth in China is what we want. So we need to think how to do it in terms of a government policy, in terms of explore the market. New southbound policy, we need to do that, including 18 countries in southbound. Government talking about 18 countries. Traditionally, we only work with some few countries relating to Taiwan. Other than India, Southeast Asian countries will have more investment. Other countries, not too many. So explore with the new southbound. We need to do this. So I want to do a conclusion. People talk about how short-term issues now. For long-term, I'm thinking Taiwan between U.S. and China. What kind of role we should play? Taiwan, we understand China the best because in Chinese culture, we learn a lot. We also understand about the mindset, the way of thinking of China, the Chinese market. So relatively, Taiwan to U.S., many people study in United States. We've been educated and influenced by U.S. What I see, U.S. between U.S. China, they have their blind points. Between them, they don't understand very well about their things. Communication having a problem between them. So for the human beings development, economics development, U.S.'s majors, totally capitalism having the problem. Like 2008 financial crisis, Wall Street created that. So capitalism in China, they can take the capital to construct China in recent years. How we can balance this to align this? So no misunderstanding between U.S. and China, maintain peace for mankind, develop for the world development. In developing countries, advanced countries, they've encountered a lot of problems. So I feel Taiwan can play an important role. So to resolve the problem between the two, that's the way to survive. Because of that, Taiwan will be safer, and we can stand on the earth to help us, to help the people of the countries to develop. Thank you. Okay, four of you answer all the questions. Lastly, we will ask Chairman Lee to give a short remark.
Thank you. Please give the moderator and the three panelists a big hand. Thank you. We're not finished yet. We still have the time exchange time at lunch. I hope that you will stay. It's more than exchange, and you can listen to the music and get relaxed. We hope that this year, under these special circumstances, you have a better year. Thank you. So let's move to go to the fourth floor. Where So please all go to, if you can stay, please stay. Thank you. Um, we'd like to ask the panelists and to remain on stage for the big photo. After the group photo of the panelists, we have the big group photo of everyone in this room. Yeah. So we like to.
今天都在同时间的拍摄，所以呢，我们现在也请大家就保持着各位的笑容，看向我们舞台上的非常多只的手机跟照相机。对，是不是好？那我们感谢大家，谢谢各位配合，也非常谢谢呢，今天各位莅临我们上午场次的电电工会国际链接论坛。就像刚刚理事长所说的，我们待会中午呢还有午宴的时间，希望大家呢。
During the luncheon, I hope that you can have great exchanges. On the VIP room, in the VIP room on the fourth floor, there's a luncheon. If you have signed up for the luncheon, you can go to the fourth floor, and the afternoon part of the forum will start at 1:30 p.m. And please remember to return your interpretation earphones. At the end of the afternoon part of the forum, there will be a lucky draw. So please remember to cast the tickets into the lucky draw box, and we have two big prizes, including the round-trip air flight ticket to the U.S. and the Mexican artwork. I hope, and during the lunch break, and you can also visit the booths on two sides of the room. And please be back at 1:30 p.m. 个呀？为什么会有2个呀？ Well, that's a lot. That's a lot.